Hi, I'm Shelby Thompson, and this is my Module 10 bullying prevention video for AEP 880. So first I was going to start off with a summary of the articles that were provided for us. So the first one is the 3 essential priorities for school principals. In that article, they emphasized a lot of caring and inclusive acts for students and an inclusive environment to make that a very emphasized thing for principals to be doing. The next one was equipping staff and faculty to embrace their leadership roles. I think that is so important for principals because teacher leaders are the people who are doing the hard work and being examples for other teachers and helping them out and doing those kinds of things. The third one was collaborating with communities, and I think the big role that a principal plays is building bridges between people, whether that be parents and teachers, or teachers and students, or community members and the school. I think that is a big job of a principal, and it goes hand in hand with making an environment that includes all people and creating that environment where bullying is not tolerated. The second article was how feeling respected transforms a student's relationship to school. I think a lot of this goes with some of the trauma-informed things that we've read about and talked about in class. It said on there about cutting suspension rates can save taxpayer money due to dropout, because suspension rates go hand in hand with dropout rates. So if we can cut down the suspension rates, then the dropout rates would be cut down, and then we'd have more employable citizens, and then taxpayer money would not have to go to as much welfare. So I found that pretty interesting. I also found it pretty interesting in that article how the difference between respect for students versus teachers was how that was different. For students, it was just recognizing humanity. And I think so often teachers struggle with behavior issues because they're just like, they should do what I say, they should do what I say. Where if you just show some compassion and show them that you're a human and make mistakes as well, I think that goes a lot longer a ways for students, and it helps show respect that way. Empathy was a big thing in that article. Empathy was a big strand throughout those four articles. Also, this how feeling respected transforms this relationship in school. Talked about race and how it refers to behavior and how it's linked to referral visits as well. So I find that very interesting with the book that we are currently reading for the end of class. I think that it makes sense of why that is happening. It doesn't make sense or justify those means at all, but bias is getting in the way there, and too many students of color are being referred to and being suspended for things that their white counterparts are not. So the third article was creating a warm and inclusive classroom. This made me think of that trauma-informed video in school from Tuesday that we had to do. It talked about creating an environment that doesn't impede student learning, and talks about color choice in the room and being neat and organized, and like creating more of a classroom community, and how that can better provide an environment for student learning because it fosters cooperation and acceptance for students within that classroom. And then the fourth article was strategies for building a productive and positive learning environment. It said that environments must be created to make the learning relevant, creating a code of conduct. So same things that were in the third article, pretty much, just creating these different environments and factors for students to better outlet these things, so that bullying is not something that's the focus, because they know that they're good people and they don't need to be bullying and treating other people wrong. It put a big emphasis on positivity, such as reinforcing positive behavior and responding with positivity. I think the thing that they may have missed in there is just having teachers be able to um, regulate themselves within a classroom, realizing, okay, I need to not yell. I want to yell, but I need to count to 10, and how can I better handle this? Why is this student behaving this way? That kind of thing. And I think that goes a long way. So now for the summaries that I found. The first one was for character.org, 6 tips to stop bullying. The first one was clear rules, recognizing bullying, report, respond, refuse, and replace beliefs and behaviors. So I think this one went right hand in hand with the other 4 articles that we had to read before, because it all has to do with creating that environment for students to understand what is expected of them and how they should behave in a school environment. But they are also the ones who are reporting and responding and refusing to let bullying be in their school. So it takes the principal and the school leader to make sure that that environment's being created by the teachers, and then the teachers have to carry that through with the students. And then when students aren't carrying that out, then the school leader can handle that problem when that happens, and making sure that we're addressing why that behavior is happening and preventing it from happening. The second article I found was Second Step Program. It starts with socio-emotional learning, which goes hand in hand with the same thing we've been talking about for trauma-informed practices and making sure that we're addressing the reason for the behavior of the bullying, which I think is so important. It talked about in that program having staff response training. So how are teachers regulating for their students to be able to address the response to bullying so that it doesn't just continue to happen. It also talked about policies and procedures, assertiveness, empathy, friendship building, and emotional regulation. So just the same things that we keep continuing to see when we're talking about helping our students and be better regulated and just be better people, I would say, and not bully people and be treating people badly. Then the third was stopbullying.gov. It had some great resources about talking about what's bullying. It had cyberbullying on there. It had curriculum on there as well. It talked about being an upstander instead of just a bystander, and I think that is important to talk about. The two things that stuck out that weren't on any other of the other ones was modeling. Teachers should be modeling how to treat people and how they should be acting and treating people in the school and creating that environment for their students. And then the second one was they put an emphasis on kids doing what they love. Because if kids are doing what they love, then they're going to embrace other people doing what they love as well. And then it just goes to that environment of people loving what they're doing and making those connections and helping each other out and seeing people as people, and creating empathy. And then the last one was the Alwelius Bullying Prevention Program. That was another program that I found. It was really research-based, or it kept saying that it was really research-based, but it had the research to back it up. And it talked about improving peer relations by preventing bullying situations. So that goes with the social emotional learning part of the equation. They also had different resources such as a bullying questionnaire and a readiness assessment. Okay, so like how ready is your school to be able to quit bullying or talk about bullying in those ways? It talked about community involvement, not only creating classroom communities, but creating communities. So getting parents involved within those student communities and being able to talk and all those things. Okay, so summary of the data given. I found that bullying mostly happens by name calling in the classroom, followed by teasing and hallway locker area. So to me, the easy way to fix the hallway locker area is just to have teachers be a presence. Teachers need to be creating an environment at all times, not just in their classroom. They need to be in other areas where students are. They need to be where the students are at all times. So if things are happening that are not acceptable, then why is that happening? What can we do to correct that? To say that bullying is mostly happening by name calling in the classroom, to me, is showing that the environment that is being created within the classroom is not that of acceptance and empathy, because they're not coming together as a community and helping each other out if they're calling people names and it's happening in a classroom where a teacher is happening. So that should be an easily fixable place for that to not be happening. So standards, most bullying happens in the classroom, so it is the job of the school principal to make sure that the school environment created by staff and administration is one that represents a safe, accepting, and respectful place for students. Like we've said before, it is the teacher's job to create the community. It is the administrator's job to expect that that is created by the teacher. And if it's not created by the teacher, then the school administrator then can step in and give strategies to have that happen. Also, if there needs to be other disciplinary or behavior problems that need to be addressed, then that is the issue of the school administrator. And the school administrator can then discipline and talk through those behaviors. And that is what I said in the second part. If it doesn't take place, it is the job of the building leader to implement policies and changes to make sure that this happens and make sure that we're giving teachers training and resources and things that they need to make sure that that's happening. If we want to make environments for kids to feel creative and welcome and warm and have them learn their best, then we need to be willing to do those things as teachers. That is what we're signing up for. That is what we need to be doing. So, to end, this is my reference page with each of the 4 articles that I found. And I also use Slides Carnival to make this slide. I always like to give them credit because I like using their slides because I think they give them a little bit more professionalism. And so that's my slideshow, and thank you for listening.